Welcome back to the Suspense Squad, where authors interview authors. Today we have the fabulous Jessica R. Patch joining us. Yay. Hi, Jessica. She's here talking about her new book, Her Darkest Secret. Can you hold it up?
Yay.
And can you read us the back cover?
Yeah. Maybe. Let's see. Okay. When a cold case serial killer returns, FBI Special Agent Fiona Kelly has one last chance to stop him before he claims the prize he's always wanted, her. The sight of a goose feather at a murder scene modeled after a children's poem is enough to make FBI agent Fiona Kelly's blood turn to ice. Almost 2 decades ago, a feather was left with her sister's body, and with every subsequent victim of the nursery rhyme killer. Now he's back. Only this time, his latest gruesome murder is a message to the only one who ever got away, Fiona. Finding rhyme is an obsession that's fueled Fiona's career and destroyed her marriage to fellow FBI agent Asa Kodiak. Now, Fiona and Asa have to put their past tensions aside and work together one last time. But rhyme is watching, and catching this killer may force Fiona to reveal her biggest, darkest secret, the one only he knows. There you have it.
It sounds amazing. I can't wait.
Thank you.
So we're going to ask some questions for you. Let's start with Sammy. Sammy, why don't you ask your question?
Hey, Jessica.
Hello.
All right. So my question is, what was your favorite part of writing Her Darkest Secret?
My favorite part. My favorite part was writing the villain's point of view. And not because it's just fun and creepy and shocking and all of that kind of good stuff, but I really like, let me put it this way, we all believe based on our life experiences, what we've been taught, what we've caught, and our life experiences shape us. And we take hero and heroines and we take their life experiences, their backstories, and what has influenced them and shaped them. And then we untangle those lies and we bring in voices of truth for them so they have these epiphanies where they recognize truth and they can grow in their life and their relationship with the Lord and with others. But with a villain, I like to do the same thing because villains are shaped by what they believe. And what they believe is shaped by how they were raised, their life experiences. And I don't know if anybody on here is a true crime fan. I'm thinking everybody probably is because we write suspense. The things that these people go through in their childhood is just unspeakable. Some of the things that they go through. Now, I'm not asking you to have compassion or empathy on the nursery rhyme killer. He is volatile and he is absolutely violently, gruesomely, murdering people. But to see why he believes what he does and what has shaped him is fascinating for me. He's probably not going to be redeemed. I don't typically redeem a serial killer. We're not going to get into the guy can do anything because, I know that. But typically, that's not going to happen. So I think that's my favorite thing to do is kind of show that the depravity and why he's depraved and why he's become who he is. So he's not there for shock value. He's not there just to give you a thrill. There's a reason why he's doing what he's doing and who he is. And then that kind of plays into the faith thread. But that's why I like writing most, I think, probably about this book.
Lots of fun to write the villain. We don't get to do that in LAS either.
No.
So, okay, so let's go to Shannon. Why don't you ask your question?
Hi, Jessica. So good to see you again.
Good to see you.
All right, I want you to tell us, and this kind of goes along with what you were saying a little bit. Maybe you can expand a little bit more. Tell us about how you share your faith through your stories, especially in Her Darkest Secret, because I know you've gotten some feedback that this one's pretty dark in some areas. And so I just kind of want you to kind of touch on that faith element and how you like to weave that into your stories.
Okay. Well, that's the beauty of writing the villain and the depravity of the villain and the choices that he makes. And then I get to write the choices that my heroine and my hero get to make. And I like analogies. So I typically like to play with light and dark. That's a theme from the very beginning. In the beginning, God said, let there be light. What? There was light, and it was good. And then in Revelation, there's no more light because Jesus is light. And the entire, through the story, is how light is separated from darkness. And so there's this theme all through the Bible. So I like to use light and darkness as a theme. And for this story, I use a firework. So there's fireworks in Fiona's childhood. There's fireworks that have to do with her relationship with Asa, and then this future shining of light. So I like to add a faith thread very subtly. I say I'm not preachy, but preachy is subjective, even for Christians. Some Christians will think that's too preachy, and some Christians will say they didn't put enough faith in there. So that's just as subjective as and you just put the word God in there, and unbelievers are like, no. So it's preachy. It's preachy. So it's subjective. I don't think you're ever going to find 4 or 5 pages worth of like a sermon, because my primary audience are Christian, and typically Christian women, although I've had some really good feedback from men with this particular story. So I like to use analogies of light and dark. In the next book I'm writing for trade, I'm using shadows and cold and warm. So that's how I like to just subtly bring faith in, bring it in organically. There are some conversations about faith. We are going to say the word Jesus. You know, we're going to talk about Jesus. We're going to talk about God, but we're not going to talk about Jesus and God for 12 pages and give you a Romans road way to salvation. So that's not going to happen in the story. So, and then we get to, like I said, we get to contrast the hero and the heroine, because they're going to mirror the bad things that have happened in their life with the bad things that have happened in the villain's life. And then we're going to get to see the contrast of the choices that we make, dark choices and light choices. So that's kind of how I like to work my faith out in this story and in most stories.
And then the results of those too, like the consequences of the dark choices versus the light choices. I love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you.
Darlene, you want to ask your question?
Hi, Jessica.
Hi,
I loved this book.
Thank
It was awesome. I really enjoyed it. So congratulations. And I believe I asked you this question last time, so you can't use the Scooby-Doo thing.
Okay.
Okay. Tell us something about yourself we can't find on the internet.
All right. Y'all have to promise up front, like, I need to see everybody's pinky promise that you're still going to have me back, and I'm still going to be qualified as a real author.
Yes.
Yes.
We will still love you unconditionally.
I could care less about Jane Austen.
Mm.
I really don't care anything about her stories or Mr. Darcy. When my friends were reading in high school and they were, I was like, let me tell you what Jessica Wakefield did to her sister Elizabeth. And so I was more about Sweet Valley High. I would rather read a Sarah J. Maas or Stephanie Meyer book than Jane Austen. So I'm probably never going to win the Pulitzer. But I'm going to stay right in commercial fiction where I belong. So I don't care about any of those stories. Sorry.
I love it. That's great. Thank you.
Oh, you're so funny. Okay, Dana, you want to ask your question?
Well, first of all, I want to tell Jessica, as someone who writes Pride and Prejudice variations, I forgive you.
Books. I enjoyed the movies. I don't get all swoony over it. So
Nope, that's okay. You know what? I was in with the Sweet Valley High and the Twilight series and all that too. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So my question is, I know that most of your readers probably know you more for your love-inspired suspense books, because that's what you've been writing for ages. So what, if you were to try to explain to your readers how what they expect in a love-inspired suspense from you would be different from what to expect in your love-inspired traits?
that's a good
How would
question.
you explain that?
That's a really good question. Well, first, and the obvious is a love-inspired suspense is going to be 55,000 words. Okay, so they're category length, they're small. And a trait book is going to be anywhere from 80 to 100,000. So obviously the word count is huge. So it's going to be a thicker book, which means I can write more complex characters I have opportunity for subplots that we don't typically have in Love Inspired Suspense. Occasionally we can get a subplot in there, but it's difficult with 55,000 words. We get to use the villain's point of view. You don't have to, but you can if you want to. You get to write multiple point of views. With Love Inspired Suspense, you're writing the hero and the heroine. But in this book, I have three point of views in this book. I have 5 in the next one that's coming out. So you get to use a lot of different characters to tell your story. And I love that. You can do a lot with that. You also get to write a little bit darker, grittier stories. Like we just talked about the villain being so depraved, but you can trust that the lit book is going to be just as safe as the Love Inspired Suspense. So you won't read there's no sex, there's no profanity. But it's safe, but it is also, if you get scared easy, it's probably not the book for you. So it is a little scary at times and a little chilling, which it's not quite, it's a little more violent, I suppose, than Love Inspired Suspense. I'm sure every one of you, as well as myself, have been dinged by our editors with that's too violent for Love Inspired. That's too violent. That's too violent. I did not get that.
Down the body count.
No. In this one, my editor said, can we make the first portion of that just a little creepier and darker? And I thought, girl, please. Right now. Yeah, I can do that. So I was like, the gloves are off. So because it was a little more procedural. I like to write crime procedurals.
Me too.
So I have a lot of investigation in the story. And that's something that's a little bit more, if you're writing a thriller or a suspense with trade, you have the opportunity to do more investigating than you really do in a suspense because you have that constant danger. So while there's an indirect threat here with this thriller, there's not as much direct threat. They're not constantly running from something. So you can expect a safe book, but a darker book. And with all books, you're gonna get a happily ever after, and it's gonna be full of hope and light of Jesus once we get past all the murder and mayhem.
I love that too. Her Darkest Secret, it releases June 28th. Is that right? Everywhere?
Everywhere.
June 28th. And thanks so much for coming and talking to us about this book. I'm really excited to read it.
I love hanging out with you guys. You're all so much fun.
We love you too.
We try. We try to have a good time.
That's
all
it.
we
We
got.
want to say
That's
where
it.
she
That's
finds
all
her
she
book.
wrote. Literally.
Stay. We'll chat.